Welcome to Permission to Kick Ass, a podcast about leaving self-doubt in the dust, punching fear in the face, and taking bold action toward your biggest dreams. I'm Angie Coley, and let's get to it. Hi there, Alison. I'm so glad to have you. Welcome to Permission to Kick Ass.
Hi there, Angie. Thank you for having me. I'm very excited to be here.
Oh, I love it. Just listening to you talk, I'm going to do the typical American shtick, like just give me the accents all day long. I love Aussie accents.
Well, I'm saying the same this end. Oh, your accent is so lovely.
That's awesome. All right. Well, would you mind telling us a little bit about what you do and what your business is?
Well, my business is Push Business Training and Mentoring. I work with entrepreneurs. I love working with entrepreneurs. And the purpose behind my business is to challenge the staggering number of small business failures. That's what drove me to establish Push. I have another business in the corporate end of town. I'm very, very passionate about working with entrepreneurs and helping them to really do well and give them the skills they need to.
I totally identify with that. I was actually briefly toying with the idea of writing a manifesto about why I love the word entrepreneur. Like, business owner is okay. Entrepreneur has power. It has gravitas. It's, the French derivative of like to bring about or to make. And I was like, yes, entrepreneurs, that's who I want to work with, the makers and the doers. Love that.
Yes. Now say it with a French accent too, and it takes on even more power, doesn't it?
I know. It's been a while since I've spoken French, but I could try. Entrepreneur.
Oh, perfect. I have a good friend who's French. I am going to ask her to say entrepreneur.
Yeah, I'm going to have to just have it going in the background with a lovely French lilt. It's fantastic.
Yes, I will. So that's what I do. I work with entrepreneurs. I'm based in Brisbane, Australia, but I work globally. Thank you, Zoom.
I know. I've seen you on calls at like 2:00 in the morning, your time. You were my champion, staying up late to bring about change in the business world. So before our call, we were talking a little bit about what story you wanted to tell. And I'm so excited for you to share this with everybody because I think it's got an important lesson. So why don't we just jump right in?
Okie dokie. So, like I said, we have a business in the corporate end of town. And we've had that business for many, many years. My husband is an engineer in a niche area in the resources and mining type industry. So he's sort of para. And so this business went through absolute explosive growth. I think 2010, we set up a big office. It was growing so rapidly. And of course, projects in the mining and resources are worth millions and lots of contractors. So I had left my job to run the business full time, my teaching adults job, to run the business full time. It was just exploding. So I took on an MBA because I wanted to be well equipped with the skills to manage a business that was growing like this and projects and everything. And during the course of the MBA, in one of my assignments, I came across the statistics that 50% of small businesses fail within 5 years, 70% within 10. Oof. And honestly, I thought I'd read wrong. I thought there is just no way. So I lost sleep over that. And then I researched it and sure enough, it was true. And that was an underestimation because they didn't include those startups, that sort of flare to life and die, within months. They actually took. So from there, I researched more why they fail. And it's basically because they're not equipped. They don't have the skills. They're really passionate about what they do, but they don't have the systems and the strategies and all of those things that go with it. And I'm a bit of a geek on all of those sort of things. So I set up Push, the business, and to help entrepreneurs. And that was like 2012, maybe, something like that. And then by 2014, so we went through explosive growth to within weeks, we lost 80% of our contracts.
Oh, no.
and the other 20% were not far behind. And we had, a substantial team. A lot of them were related to us. The others were like family to us. And suddenly zero income. But we had a lease, we had insurance, we had all of these expenses. And it was horrendous. It was really incredibly stressful. And I remember a number of times thinking, wow, I set up this business to prevent small business failure. And here I am. I'm my own avatar. Oh. And it was really terrible. So we actually sat down. We've been in business now for 29 years. And we had other crises with the GFC and the recession in Australia and things. But this one, we stripped all our assets to keep the business afloat. Our house was attached to the business. And so we this day, I'll never forget it, this day, my husband and sons appeared in the afternoon because I would go into town at, silly o'clock, 6 a.m. And then I'd come home at lunchtime, and in the afternoon I would create courses, things like that in the quiet. And they appeared and they just said, we need to look at a closing. And I'm standing there staring at them. I'll never forget it. And I'm thinking, that's the house. That's our livelihood. It's their livelihood. It's, the lovely people that work for us. And I was sort of, no, we're not. Nope. And what I did was I put push on ice. And so here's a note to everybody. What I did, the only thing I did was I kept up the social media content calendar. And I had one team member just keep posting for me each day. So there was, the tiny bit of organic growth you get, but I still had that presence. And I just shelved it, and I lived and breathed this funnel that I had business mentors tell me couldn't be done. You can't build a funnel for the mining and resources industry. No such thing as a lead magnet. No such thing as, because they're not on social media. They don't want to download your freebie. They don't want your newsletter. It was really interesting. And then, so I just lived and breathed it. 20 hours a day, and then I would dream about it because I just kept thinking, this is our family home, and we're on acreage, and we start out with this teeny tiny house that we added as we added children because we have 6 children. And I was sort of, no, this isn't happening. So I just kept strategizing and reading everything I could. I had studied neuro leadership, so I had all sorts of growth mindset activities that I would just hound them. I'd stick them on the wall around the office. And like for me, it was things like, I'm not good at marketing yet. This funnel isn't working yet. Yeah. And so yet is still one of my favorite words. And so we would really, just pump it. And I'd say to them, look, if there are 100,000 projects out there, even if there's been 90% collapse, because the industry had, a catastrophic downturn. A lot of people we knew were going under, businesses were failing every day. And of course, I kept hearing things like, there's nothing out there. There are no projects. And I was sort of there, we can't think like that. And so I sat there one day and we were having a barbecue, and I was sitting looking at my husband, and he looked at me and he goes, what? And I said, I've just realised you're a lead magnet.
That's so great.
You are the lead magnet. You are what these people want. He has 40 years experience in a very niche industry. And we've travelled, we moved 20 times in 15 years. So he worked on, projects. His resume is amazing. And I thought, you're the lead magnet.
That is a creative solution if I have ever heard one.
Yes. What is it they say is the mother of creation?
Oh, yeah. Necessity is the mother of invention.
I was thinking desperation. So I looked at him, you are a lead magnet. So what we did, we actually wrote an email, and we were getting these emails that weren't getting open. We were building this funnel into LinkedIn, because that's where, of course, that community hangs out. So we sent out an email saying, and the subject line was, we need to have a coffee. Bing, 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 bing.
Oh,
they
so
wanted
simple.
him. Yes. And then I realized, so my background is like, I love teaching, and I had founded and, developed a charity in Vietnam where I developed training for young blind people living in poverty. So training and teaching is my thing. I just love, love, love it. So when they sort of cornered me and said, you need to take over the business, my response was, we need to have training involved, for me to be at all happy, and it needs to finance the charity because, that was going to impact it. So I was looking at him and I thought, what do we have that others don't have? Because if 99% of the contracts are gone, and I kept saying this. So even if there were 100,000 and now there's only 10,000 or even 5,000, we only want 3 or 5. Yeah. So it's just a much, much smaller pond. And so we need to be more creative. And so then what we did was we actually dissected Lou's brain. And we took 40 years of being on projects, and we would get him to talk about it and all that. And we put together a training program.
Oh, people can't see me right now because we're filming in video and we're watching each other. But I've just got like this big goofy grin on my face, like, wow, this is such a creative solution. And I wanted to take a moment to unpack that a little bit too, because there are people that are listening here at all stages of the business. So we're throwing around some advanced terminology for some of you, but it's totally gettable. Like everybody in business, I think, goes through this. And so when we say things like funnel, or we say copy or lead magnet, these are all just trying to attract people. They're tools to attract people into your business. And, typically when you think of a lead magnet, I'm going to break it down a little bit because this is my specialty in advertising and copy. Think of when you exchange your email address for a free PDF or a free video training or something like that. So to hear that you turned your husband into a lead magnet is just, I've been doing this for a decade and I have never heard such a creative solution for this. It's fantastic.
Yes, cute lead magnet.
There was one more thing that I wanted to call attention to in what you said, and that was growth mindset. Because there are so many people that would have faced a challenge that you and your husband faced. And your husband and your son came to that point too. Like, we need to talk about closing down the business, where we can either choose to be in a growth mindset where we strive to see opportunities and we roll with the punches, a little bit more resilient and adaptable, versus a fixed mindset where we're a victim of our circumstances and we can't help what happens to us. And hey, newsflash. We can't actually help what happens to us at any time, any place, anywhere. What's going to happen is going to happen, but we can control how we react to it and how we roll with the punches. And I love that you made that determination of like, well, there's still 10,000 contracts out there. We only need 3. Yep. I love it.
And look, you're so on point, genius. It's how we respond. And look, make no mistake, it was a terrible time. It was, and honestly, it's what drives my business, because my office is in town. And so I like to walk, and part of my heart breaks. I see these cafes and dress shops and they sprout up and they're all excited and they're refurbing, and then they're empty, and I think, what happened? How much did they lose? Did their house go with it? Because that's what we were facing. It was, what do you do? And the fact that between 50 and 70% of entrepreneurs and small business owners are going to lose it just makes me crazy.
Me too.
And look, part of it, I get cranky. I get incredibly passionate about it, but I get really cranky. My daughter and soon-to-be son-in-law, they have a business and they're in the fitness and wellness industry. An amazing, beautiful, very devoted and passionate about what they do. they register business online. That easy. When they were doing their qualifications, this whole personal training and everything, getting their qualifications, they came to me and they said, we really need help with this. They had a business plan they wanted them to do, and this is hand on heart. It was like 52, 54 pages long. It was so ridiculous. And honestly, I would bet money that the people assessing the darn business plan had no idea what a business plan was or what they should be doing. It was so theoretical and so unrelatable. It was one of those things, if you'd have had the physical copy, you would only ever use it to line an old drawer or as a doorstop. You know, it was so ridiculous. And there was very, very little, if anything, in there that would help them. And I mentor them, and they're amazing business owners, and they really put in the hard yards. But, you know, if they didn't have that information, it just sets them up for failure.
That is true.
I think if our community is built on small business, what is the ripple effect in our community of these businesses going under and these heartbroken entrepreneurs and these marriages under duress? Why don't we help them at the other end and help them to succeed? And then, you know, as a community, we're not going to suffer like this. So it makes me a bit cranky, because I think, you know, I've been in business, like I said, 28 years, and I'm a geek. I'm a data geek. I've studied forever. And I waded through this 54 pages. You know, I was sort of, what? But there was nothing to actually say. You know, you need to know your cash conversion cycle, because that is what breaks a lot of people. A lot of businesses that go under.
Point. Like One of the things that I'm always railing on, like I devoted a whole chapter to this in my book, and I've talked about it before, but there's something that I call the FU fund, and FU stands exactly for what you think it stands for.
Yes.
It is the money that you pay yourself first. You bring in money, money goes into the FU fund before you pay your bills, before you pay your rent, before anything. Money goes into the FU fund. And that's because you're buying back your freedom. You're buying back your choice. You're buying back your peace of mind by having that money sitting there and protecting you. And I remember talking to one of the people that I was coaching about starting a business, and they were afraid of what breaks most business owners, like we were just talking about, which is cash flow, just not having enough money coming in to cover the bills. And I told this person, so what choices do you think you'd be making in your business if you had $50,000 in the bank, if you had $100,000 in the bank? Now, you don't need to go from today I have 0, tomorrow I have 50 grand. That's not what I'm saying here. But like, if you have an eye on $5, $10, $500 at a time, I'm working toward having that cushion so that I can float myself through rough months, because rough months happen. Everybody that I've talked to on the show had an unexpected rough moment. And I think the big takeaway there is expect the unexpected, guys.
That's so true. You know, the other thing is, and when COVID hit, so I have a bigger program, and then COVID hit last year, and we went in. I'm in Australia, and, you know, we're militant about our lockdowns. So smell of COVID, everything's locked down. And, you know, but we flattened the curve. So, you know, there is that. And when we were in lockdown, honestly, I felt quite anxious about business owners, because I thought, what are they going to do? You know, what is this going to do to those failure rates? How many? We're very lucky because we do have government subsidies here that help a little bit. But, you know, it really played on my mind. So I then set up a membership, very, very low threshold, to help entrepreneurs to get online. Because, of course, if your business is online, well, COVID, schmovid. You know, you sit at home and keep going. But one of the things that I say to business owners constantly is, yes, this is a crisis, and yes, it will pass. Just like the catastrophic downturn in our industry passed. It took a while, but it passed. Just like the GFC passed, the floods passed. You know, this will pass. And so you just need to be in survival mode,
Mm-hmm.
and you need to think really strategically, how do you survive this? And then once you're at the other end, then you rebuild, you rescale. But right now, you focus on surviving.
I like that you brought that up with the example of your own business, because you had the mining business with your husband, and then you had your small business Push that was helping people grow their online businesses. And at the beginning of the call, you talked about how when the downturn hit your industry, in the mining industry, you put Push on pause a little bit. And that's exactly, I think, what we're talking about here with going into maintenance mode, going into survival mode, not disappearing off the face of the planet, but doing what you can to just kind of maintain, stay at one level. And I like that you didn't disappear there. Like, you didn't just leave. You're like, I'm going to keep putting out helpful content and I'm going to come back eventually. And just that mindset alone, I think, is a big difference.
And see, for me, Push is what that makes my heart sing. I love it. It energizes me. Not so much the corporate side, but that's where the money was coming from. Mm-hmm. So when you're in survival mode, it's not so much about feeding your passion. Yeah. It's about feeding your family. Yeah. So I went into that mode. And then, of course, we did turn it all around, thankfully. So I get to sit and chat to you. And once it really did have legs, and like it took a good couple of years before we really climbed up there and we were making, significant money and all the rest of it. Then I could go back to Push. And, of course, that renewed with experience. Mm-hmm. And there is nothing like a few battle scars to help you to relate to people.
Well, that's perfect too, because so much of what we deal with in life, not just in business, is transferable. Like, if I've learned how to deal with, somebody broke into my car, let's say, and I've got to deal with the insurance and stuff like all that. Well, then I know how to deal roughly with my site got hacked, and now I've got a series of steps that I got to do to get that back and get that fixed. Yeah. Like, these skills and the coping mechanisms and that resilience are, it's not siloed. It's not my personal life is over here, my business life it's all connected these days.
Especially if you're that entrepreneur. Can't say it with a French accent.
I like it with the Australian accent. I think it's fantastic. Oh, this is so good. I mean, mindset is such a huge component to this that I think people tend to, I don't know, dismiss a little bit, or like, you can't wish your way to success, which is true. You can't wish it. You have to follow the mindset with action and a dedication to learning. But I think, if I could boil down having that growth mindset to one key asset, it's a determination to win or learn. Yeah. Not win or lose, win or learn.
Yeah. So true. And to know that you're going to get there. I mean, like I said, for 2 years, there was 9 months that I just had all this butcher paper all over the house as I tried to build this funnel. Took over the kitchen bench, the dining table. It was everywhere. And of course, it was pivot. Okay, that's not working. Try this. Okay, that's not working. Try that. Fall down. What is it? Fall down 7 times, get up 8.
Yes.
And it's so true. You just keep getting back up, and you will find a way. You will find a way. You've just got to be. I think it was Jim Carrey who said, he's right into the whole visualizing your goals. And he said, but, the thing is, and like he visualized, he used to keep a blank check for $12 million made out to him in his wallet for years and years and years. And that's what he got paid for the mask.
That's the true
story. But he said, but here's the thing. You can't have these goals and, do all of this and then go make a sandwich.
Yeah.
So he had these goals and he had this check for 12 million, and he would sleep on people's couches and he would go for, 100 auditions a week. And he just lived and breathed his goals. And he just kept working towards them.
And he didn't know which road was going to lead to 12 million. I think that's right. That's the part that frustrates me the most about entrepreneurs is they, like, a lot of people, especially if you're very new to business, feel like you have to sit down and have the plan, that 54-page plan.
Yes.
That outlines all the steps.
But have one that makes sense.
And like the backup plan and the backup plan and the backup plan to the backup plan.
Yes. And pivot is your friend.
So he did hundreds of auditions. He slept on people's couches. He took all kind of I remember watching him in his early like stand-up days and sketch comedy days, and he was hilarious. He didn't know which one of those roads was going to pay off, but he knew that one of those steps was closer toward his goal. And as long as he kept taking steps, he was going to get there. And that's the key. Like, take the step. Don't just dream about it. Don't just dream.
And look, if you have a vision where you want your business to be and you've mapped it out, you've got a road. And once you have that road and that direction, it's easy to tell when you veered off it.
Yes.
And so
the planning is important. Awesome. And then the journey is flexible a little bit.
That's right. I love quotes. I love them. And another one I heard was be firm with your vision, flexible with your plan.
Yes.
So don't lose sight of your vision, but be flexible, with the road there, because none of those roads are set in stone. You don't really know whether it's going to be stand-up comedy or wearing a funny green mask and dancing really well.
And I couldn't have pictured that I would be here when I started out, because when I went back to school and got my master's degree over a decade ago, I thought I was going to be in television development. I had never even heard of copywriting and advertising writing. And so I fell into an entire industry by accident, but by keeping my eye on that goal of like, I want to be a writer. I want to tell cool stories. I want to reach people with words. I don't know what this looks like yet. I'm going to keep working toward that. And like, here I am. And I've moved beyond, I've done all of the writing, and now I've moved into ghostwriting. I've done that for a little bit. Now I'm working on my own book, which is like mind blowing.
Yay. Yay.
And helping other creative people to like really step up and own that. And you can create a life-sustaining business out of it. It doesn't have to be your hobby. You just have to be open to figuring out how to monetize what it is that you do and what you love, and just keep trying things until something works.
Yeah.
I love it.
So true.
All right. Well, Alison, this is a fantastic chat. Will you tell us a little bit about where to find out more about Push?
Well, Push, I'm all over the net. Alison Vidotto is my name. I'm sure you'll have that. If you Google, there's not many of us out there. There's just me.
And I'll have it in the show notes too, so it's clickable.
Yes. And, I'm across social media, so reach out and connect with me. I'm on Clubhouse too, at Alison Vidotto.
I'm a little bit jealous because I'm an Android person, so I'm left out of Clubhouse, but we'll get in there eventually.
Yes, there will be a way. We'll be waiting for you.
All right. Thank you so much, Alison.
Thank you so much. Great to chat with you.
So that is it. Another awesome episode of Permission to Kick Ass on the books. If you want to know more about the show, if you want to know more about me, Angie Coley, and the mission I'm on to help entrepreneurs punch fear in the face and do big, bold things, then head on over to permissiontokickass.com. That is all one word together, permissiontokickass.com. Make sure to sign up for my email list so that you know whenever there's a hot, fresh, and ready podcast episode out for you. And also on Mondays, I like to send out a little newsletter called Kick Monday's Ass. I'm sure you're totally surprised by that. So thank you for being here with me today. I'm Angie Coley. Make sure that you share this with a friend that needs to hear this message today. Like it, share it, comment wherever you're listening to this today, and let's go kick some ass.